The other day I realized something. I haven't had a traditional job in about 10 years. I'm a little bit over 65, so that meant I was, let's say, 55, 56, when the last time I had a job where I got a W-2 in the mail, or a W-2, I was a W-2 employee, where I was on the payroll for a company. Ever since then, I have worked freelance, been self-employed, done side hustles, gigs, whatever you want to call it, and I'm doing just fine. I'm now getting Social Security, and I'm earning some money from YouTube, which is great. YouTube is just another side hustle for me. I enjoy making the videos, and luckily I'm monetized and I get some money every month, and it is wonderful. Thank you so much. But I was really surprised that it's been 10 years since I last, got a steady paycheck, and it wasn't even steady. So the job I had, my last job as an employee for a company, was as a secret shopper for a major grocery store chain. And I lived in 2 different cities when I was doing this job. I started in one and I moved to a different place, and I kept doing it there because it's, these grocery stores are everywhere. And it was very part-time. I never worked full-time at this job. It was always different number of hours. It was not anything I could depend on, but it was a job. I was an employee. So I can't even remember before that what my last regular job was, because I have been working freelance a good part of my adult life. And sometimes I had a job and did freelance or, side hustles. So I just wanted to tell you how I've survived, because I certainly couldn't retire at 55 or 56. No way. I just started getting Social Security, recently, within the last 2 years. And it's wonderful, but, I earned it. Hopefully it'll be around for everybody. And, or you have a pension or whatever. But I had to work to get money to live, basically. I had some savings, but I made very little money, but it was enough. I didn't want to get a job and have to go somewhere, clock in, show up, work in an office, work wherever, doing something I hated doing, or just being around a bunch of people that I didn't want to be around. I'll just explain how I managed the last 10 years of my working life without a job. So one way I earned money was something I'd been doing for many years before. I just kind of continued doing this. I edited textbooks, and I went out on my own. I was an editor. I had a job as an editor, and I thought, I really don't like going to a job and having to put up with all the office politics and all that. But I liked the editing part, and I was pretty good at it. I did it. I didn't get fired or anything, so I guess I was okay. And so I approached university presses, like a university that has a press where they publish books, and I got 2 or 3 contract jobs proofreading. I started out proofreading. Then, as I had done a few books and was, shown to be competent, I moved into copy editing. And I really enjoyed it for a long time. And so I kept doing that. And it was, again, very sporadic work. I got a 1099. It wasn't a W-2 job. I wasn't on the payroll. I was a contractor. And I would do maybe 3 or 4 books a year. It wasn't anything full-time, but it was draining. It was really hard work because most of the books I got to edit were math or science, and I am not a math or science person. And so it was really pretty hard for me. And I got to the point where I had to just stop doing that because it was too stressful. I would have like 6 weeks to work on a book, and I had to figure out how many pages I needed to get through a day to meet my deadline. And if I took a day off, that meant I had to catch up and, do extra. So, and it didn't pay great. It was okay, but it wasn't great at all. So I decided, I don't want to do it. I got to the point where if something wasn't fun, a little bit at least, or paid well, even if it was really boring and it paid well, I could do that. But this was stressful and it didn't pay well. So I thought, no, I don't need to keep doing this. So I quit doing it. Probably about 7 years ago. I just had enough. It was like, nope, no thank you. So I did editing for textbooks for publishers. That was one of my freelance or side hustle gigs. I did writing for online sites. I liked this for a long time, but then it became kind of spammy to me. It was, I don't know, it was kind of like YouTube, but I don't consider YouTube to be spammy, but it was where you put out content, but instead of speaking, making a video like I am, I wrote it down, and I liked it. I liked the writing part a lot, but I stopped doing that probably 3 or 4 years ago. Again, it didn't pay real well. I didn't promote my articles or anything, and I just figured, okay, I tried that, I did it, I'm done with that. And I don't have any problem saying, okay, I tried it, I'm done. It works for me. Something else I did for about 15 years, and I just quit this year, was selling items on Etsy. I really liked that at first. It was good. And during the pandemic, I actually made quite a bit of money because people couldn't go out, stores were closed. And so I made decent money for a good part of whatever year that was, 2020, 2021, I don't remember. And then it became a real chore because Etsy is saturated with sellers, and I never really had good luck selling handmade items, but I sold vintage things and supplies to make things. And then shipping costs went up, and it just became a real hassle for me. And I took my trip to England and Ireland and put my shop on vacation mode. And then I came back and I thought, I don't want to do that. I'm not ready. So I never turned it back on. And then the months went by and I still have not turned it back on. I'm not going to. It was great while it lasted. I enjoyed finding the things to sell, but the actual, handling of inventory and dealing with shipping and rising shipping costs and everything didn't make it much fun anymore. But it certainly paid my bills for a long time, for years. I've also done various things online, like I did a video about taking surveys, and I still do that. I do Prolific quite a bit. I like it, and I'll do a video at the end of the year on how much I made doing online surveys. And it's not anything to write home about, but I like doing it, and it's some extra money. I also sell some items on print-on-demand sites where I just come up with add a picture that I have taken, and then maybe put some words or a quote or something on a postcard or whatever. There's all kinds of things. You can make t-shirts and, put a design on there and sell them. And I don't sell a lot, but it's creative, and I like doing creative things. So I still do that. It's not a big money maker, but I don't care. I mean, some people do it full time, and it is a big money maker, but it's not ever been that for me. I've never figured out, a common thing that people want to buy all the time. But I still think it's fun, so I do it. And one thing I did for quite a while was I did in-person focus groups where you would go in to an office and this research company would have you sit at a table with a bunch of other volunteer people. You're called a volunteer, but you get paid because you're volunteering your time to give feedback on a new product or a new design of something. And I really enjoyed those. And I did a couple mock juries. I love those. It's like lawyers hiring people to be pretend jurors before a trial to see if their case is valid, if they've got all the proof they need to fight, for their client. And another thing I did for quite a while, but I haven't done this in years, is drug studies or clinical trials. I volunteered as a participant and again got paid, and this paid very well, where I would do in-person drug studies at a clinical research facility, and oftentimes you had to spend the night. I had to spend one time 10 nights or 10 days, 9 nights, whatever. And I got paid really well. I think that one was $4,000. And that was a big chunk of change for me and for my income that year. And basically I would take one pill or get one injection of some drug or a placebo. You didn't know what you got, and they never told you. It was a blind study where they just didn't, they never told the participants if they had the real drug or the placebo. I never got sick. It wasn't a problem, but I got paid pretty well for doing that. And at the time, I needed some income, and a friend had told me about it. So I tried it, and it was like, yeah, I can do this. It was boring. You had to stay at the facility. You had to eat the food they gave you. And, one time we had to give blood like every hour. They took your blood first, and then you took the drug, and then you got in line and you gave your blood every hour. It was basically for like 6 hours or something, and then again later in the day. But it was to see how the drug was interacting in your body, I guess. And I hate needles, but I got over it doing those drug studies. And it was kind of boring because a lot of the time you were just there, but they wanted to check your blood every day, and they wanted to control your diet and what you were doing. You couldn't drink or anything because you were there, and you couldn't have any alcohol or, so it was a controlled environment. And so I made quite a bit of money doing those drug studies or clinical trials, whatever you want to call them. So those are just some of the ways I have spent my last 10 years without a job. These were all jobs, but I wasn't an employee of a company. And it worked out. So by doing all of these freelance or side hustle jobs, I had to kind of think differently about how I was going to live and how I could pay for things, because this was not a steady paycheck in any way, shape, or form, ever. I couldn't count on any certain amount of money, and I really enjoyed the variety, though. I like doing different things, and so for that, it was great. But I've always been pretty frugal, and this made me become very frugal, and it was okay. I managed, I paid all my bills, I was able to live. It was tight at times, but it worked out, and I just got creative as far as the work I did plus how I lived. So I'd love to hear if you've ever had a situation like this where you haven't had a full-time job or even a part-time job as an employee, and how you dealt with it. If it was easy or if it was a real challenge. Do you like being an employee, or do you prefer doing side hustles and working for yourself, basically, and finding creative ways to earn money? please leave a comment and let us know, because I think it's fascinating, and we are so lucky, I think, to live in a time now where with the internet you can, you have lots of options now that when I was a youngster we didn't have those options. So I would love to hear your take on if you'd be able to live for 10 years just doing side hustles and freelance and, little side jobs. Please let us know. And if you like this content, please consider subscribing to my channel. It helps me out. And give this video a like if you liked it. And I'll see you next time.